But Mark, it is now time to end the podcast, and we're going to end the podcast with the division champs from last year, the Green Bay Packers. I get sick talking about this team. So, like, you were saying, and this is, Packer fans are going to hate us for a second, but you were saying that you would give up the Bears never winning a Super Bowl if the Packers were just abysmal for most of it.
And that's what it comes down to, because we have seen, and to preface this came from just talking about, Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers and how lucky that has been to have two of the best quarterbacks in NFL history back to back. Yeah, but I mean, that's not my lifetime. And just to sit there and watch that, and I said, you know what? I would be willing to never see my team, the Chicago Bears, win a Super Bowl, and maybe Packers fans will agree with that. If the Packers were just abysmal for like 2 decades.
Like Jacksonville Jaguars.
No, I'm saying just
or like Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, just absolutely terrible. Also, possibly willing to see them be kind of Buffalo Bills-esque of...
Get to 5 Super Bowls and lose them?
Just lose everything. Get to the Super Bowl, lose. In an embarrassing fashion.
The 5 falls, the frozen tundra.
I would be willing to consider
of the tundra. That's what it is.
If I knew that the Packers would be terrible, if I could sell my football soul to the football devil here for the Packers to be terrible, I might be willing to do it.
Kind of like how Dan Marino tried to do it in Little Nicky.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have bantered enough, Green Bay Packer fans. So like, come on, guys, get to the preview.
Green Bay Packers fans who all left.
This is a team last year, NFC Championship game runner-up. They lose to the Super Bowl runner-up in the Atlanta Falcons. And I kind of wanted to start off like, oh, can they get back? However, I look at this team's free agency. Jared Cook is gone. Micah Hyde is gone. Donta Jones is gone. Eddie Lacy's gone. Julius Jardinere-Peppers is gone. TJ Lang is gone. And all they brought in was Martellus Bennett and Devon House. Only 2 free agents from the NFL.com free agent tracker. Now, Martellus Bennett,
Super Bowl champion.
Bear fans might be saying, well, how could you do this to us, Martellus?
It's not surprising.
How could you do this to us and go to Green Bay? But I will go ahead and ask the question anyways. Can this Green Bay team not only get back to the NFC Championship game, but is this team a Super Bowl contender in 2017, 2018?
Well, yes, because they're the Green Bay Packers. They're always going to be...
Short answer, long answer.
Yeah, they're always going to be a contender for the NFC Championship, for the division, for the Super Bowl.
Because Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it really is because of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you start mentioning guys who left, and I say, yeah, it doesn't matter. They still have Aaron Rodgers. Until Aaron Rodgers is gone...
Those are some big losses, though.
Until Aaron Rodgers is gone, nothing else matters. Because... Aaron Rodgers will this team to victory. Even if he has to throw a Hail Mary at the last minute, we just talked about it last segment, he will get it done. As long as it's not against the Seahawks, then those Hail Marys don't go his way. But he will get it done when he needs to. And he's got great weapons in Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and Martellus Bennett. Ty Montgomery, I know you do not believe in him. I like him.
You know what? This season, I want to see if last year was a fluke.
And you know what? Odds are it probably was.
I want to see if it was just like wow, no one knew what to expect from Ty Montgomery because it was a wide receiver moving over the running back. Now that we have some tape on him and a full offseason to prep, how are we going to do it? It's kind of like I always compare it to like the Wildcat. Wildcat was highly successful.
Yeah, it was fun
when it first came out. And then people were like, wait, we have tape and we can stop this. And then they stopped it.
Yep.
So part of me is like,
I mean, it's the mobile quarterback thing every time they come into the NFL and last for a year or two.
That too. Part of me is like, you know what? Let's see how he does this season because no one had really seen him as a running back coming into last season because he was a wide receiver. But part of me with Aaron Rodgers, I kind of think it's kind of the Drew Brees syndrome where it's almost like it doesn't matter who he has out there. He'll just make anyone better. Because I bet you if you put Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, Devonta Adams on almost any other team in the NFL, they are not as good as they would be with Aaron Rodgers on the Packers.
Well, of course. I mean, you're playing with, like I said, one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. I mean, the current best quarterback, at least talent and skill-wise, in the NFL. Brady. Talent and skill-wise in the NFL. Sorry, Tom. You ain't got nothing on Aaron Rodgers when it comes to talent and skill. But, you know, you mentioned the running back position. So interesting to see them draft 3 running backs in the NFL. Now, of course, two of them were very late in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
But they're a team that knows where they need to get better. I mean, they know that this passing game isn't going to get much better. It's one of the best in the NFL. They can score more points than almost anybody. This defense is, it's a fairly average defense. The run game, once again, just fairly average. They know that they need to improve that. The defense, I mean, obviously it can get better and it should get better. But there are good pieces to the defense. I don't want to completely discredit the Packers defense here. If Aaron Rodgers, I always go back to this. When they won a Super Bowl, yes, Aaron Rodgers was a big part of the reason why. But a big thing that we were talking about was out of nowhere, this run game shows up that the Packers had. And that Packers defense was good when they won that Super Bowl. So that's what they need to get back into. And I like to criticize McCarthy as much as possible, although this one's not really his fault. But this team needs to go out there, and if anyone watches the Onside Kick on a regular basis, you know I don't like Ted Thompson.
No, you don't.
But this team needs to invest in that defense. They need to invest in the run game because that's when they've been so successful.
And the interesting thing about the run game that you bring up is not only did they lose Eddie Lacy this offseason, but what I found so interesting is March 23rd, they re-signed Christine Michael to a 1-year contract. At the draft, they draft 3 running backs, and then shortly after they say, well, okay, Christine, you're waived.
Yeah.
And they just waive him. And now he's on the IR with the Indianapolis Colts. But even that was something where they were like, yeah, we lost Eddie Lacy. We're not too... I know we just re-signed Christine Michael, but we're not too fond of him. Like, there's no one on this, maybe unless it's Ty Montgomery is the only one, but it's where this running back committee is like, yeah, you know what? We don't have the guy.
Well, I do think that they believe in Ty Montgomery. I do definitely believe they do. And I believe in Ty Montgomery as well. I think he can produce based on what I see. Now, I do, of course, have to have that little asterisk there of, but I would like to see more proof. I would like to see one more season.
I wonder if there was an actual, like, I'll use this example. If Latavius Murray this offseason or Adrian Peterson was like, yeah, I want to come play for the Packers, they would say, well, Ty, you're either a wide receiver or you're the second running back. Take your pick.
Yeah,
because
well,
there's no way you say, well, yeah, we'll bring you in, but you're behind Ty Montgomery.
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone would even try and say that. I don't know why that needs to even really be said. But Ty Montgomery last year wanted mid-season his number to get changed because he fully is committing, I am a running back now. And whether that will be a long-term success for him or not, time will tell. We'll see. But he wants to be a running back. Even if they brought in, let's say, Adrian Peterson or something like that, I think he still would have been a running back. He would have just been the second running back. They do believe in him, and they're just getting some guys because they need compliments to that. Man can't get it done all by himself, but he was kind of a late surprise as well for the Green Bay Packers. Unfortunately, for all those teams that thought, yeah, Green Bay's got nothing, they got no running backs. We're going to be fine. We don't need to defend the run, and then Ty Montgomery shows up. Really fucked my team over, is what I'm saying for the Bears game.
Well, and I mean, the thing I look at, and I'm going back to the schedule here, they have to me, I know it's not as tough as some other teams, like the Lions. I said their first 6 games. This Packer team has 2 tough games to start the season. They're playing at home against Seattle, and then they're on the road against Atlanta again.
Yep.
Like, this is a team, and then Cincinnati.
But those are 2 good vengeance games for Green Bay. They play Seattle hard.
Vengeance games, but those are games that I could see maybe being losses. It's everything after that. Cincinnati should probably be a win. The Bears, unless the Bears show up and be like amazing this year,
16-0, baby,
should be a win. I mean, Dallas on the road will be tough. I hope that Minnesota on the road would be tough. I think that this could be the only team. The Packers are the only team in this division right now coming into 2017 that I look at and go, you have some tough opponents, because let's be honest, all these teams that we've been talking about have a similar schedule. They play similar opponents with a few mixed out here or there.
Yep.
They are the only team I look at this schedule and go, they can overcome it. There's no reason why.
They're one of the better teams in the NFL.
Those first two, you say, I go, well, they could be losses. Could be losses. This is the first team we've said for that. And I think if the Packers are going to do anything this season, they have to win those revenge games. They have to win Seattle. They got to win Atlanta. They got to beat the Steelers. They have to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They can't let these teams that would be playoff teams beat them in any way.
Yeah.
And part of me feels like for Green Bay, the regular season is just going to be a ride, and we'll see what they do come playoff time. Because last year we saw great game against was it a great game against the Giants or just Odell Beckham imploding? And then they went up against the Falcons, and the Falcons blew them out of the water. Like, that game wasn't even fun to watch. I mean, it was fun for, like, Brandon, Dave, and Sean, who are around me, because Bears fans watching the Packers get blown out is amazing. But for me, I'm sitting there going, yeah, I hate the Packers, but, like, this game's not fun. There's no, like, competitive. I think the first half was competitive, and then, boom, they got blown out of the water in the second half. It's, can they get over that hump, and are they going to be a Super Bowl team this year? That's where I think the Packers are, despite their losses that we mentioned at the beginning of the segment.
And really, that particular game, the Packers couldn't do anything in the first half. It was the second half that they started to come back. But still lost 44-21. The Green Bay Packers are one of those few teams in the NFL where there is not a single team where I say there's not a chance that the Green Bay Packers win. Any game they go into, they have a chance to win that game.
And of course, I forgot the Cook game. We beat the Cowboys. I forgot. That was a really good game to watch.
And it's a better game. I don't actually know where I was going with that anymore. I lost it. But the Green Bay Packers are one of those teams where, I got it. Where any game they go into, they have a chance to win, and it's a better chance than what pretty much any other team's got. Aaron Rodgers can get it done. He's got the offensive weapons to do it, to throw the ball to. This defense, they're a good defense, not a great defense, but they are good enough to get it done. This whole roster, when you just look at it, it is good in a lot of different places. Yes, there are some holes here and there, but overall, it is a good roster, and the talent is spread out enough to where there's not that defense is just bad. There's none of that. The talent is spread out. I just want to see a little bit more out of Ty Montgomery. I want to see him do again what he was able to do last year, and I want to see him get complimented by some of these other guys. If I were to want to see the Green Bay Packers win, I don't. I'm a Bears fan, but that would be what you would need for them to really step it up a little bit more and actually get back to the Super Bowl, actually win another Super Bowl.
I'm going to say this. You know what the question I asked you with the Lions?
Sure.
I'm going to ask you the same thing, but switch it. The Packers don't win the division if...
Well, the Packers don't win the division really if Detroit comes and takes it from them. If they don't win,
is Detroit the only team, or could you put the Vikings in there too? I'm just throwing it out there.
You could, but I'm not willing to.
Okay. So you think it's going to be Packers and Lions? Yeah. They're the ones.
If somebody comes up to me and says, "I don't know, man, I think that the Vikings can win the division," I'm not really going to argue against them. I'm just saying it's much more likely that the Detroit Lions are the ones to do it. And really, that comes down to if Detroit can win that series, if Detroit can sweep the Packers, I think they probably got to. I think they got to win it.
Okay,
outright. I think they got to sweep it. If they can sweep it, they can win the division.
Well, and the thing is, and I'll ask this as a follow up before I give my point, is are you putting the Vikings as like because of the offensive line we talked about? Is that the big thing?
Offensive line really is. For me, that offensive line was so bad last year.
Because they were only 2 games behind
really
the
need
Packers.
To see it. They were, but they also won 5 games straight and then had an abysmal end of the season.
True.
When things started to fall apart. So it's one of those times where I'm like, it was so bad that I need to see it be good to believe again. Because the Vikings are a team where they've got the pieces. They just need it all put together. Same exact thing with Detroit, but Detroit, I think, is a little further along in that. Because I mean, offensive line. If you don't have an offensive line, you don't have anything, is what it comes down to. So I think they're a little further down the line for that. Plus, I just like Matthew Stafford's ability to get it done, and he can be a guy who can compete. But the thing for Detroit is they have not really shown you that they can win when it matters. Aaron Rodgers wins when it matters, and that's why he is the most clutch quarterback. That's why he is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's why the Packers, to me, pretty safely have this division locked up.
I will say this. Are you ready for it?
Sure.
The Packers don't win the division if Aaron Rodgers gets injured. That's the only way I see them not winning the division this year, and that's because I look at this team, and I know that they have lost the division before with Aaron Rodgers. My Vikings has won it from them, but I do not think right now either the Vikings or the Lions have what it takes to dethrone them this season. And I know Viking fans are probably going to see this and go,
traitor.
One of our own is saying we don't have a chance, but you want to know do you know off the top of your head the last time the Packers didn't make the playoffs?
The last time they didn't make the playoffs?
They did not make the playoffs.
No, not off the top of my head.
It was my graduating year of high school. So you would have been a junior.
Yep.
2008. That was the last year. You want to know?
That was a really good year.
You want to know what season that was? Who's
probably Aaron Rodgers' first season?
First season as starting quarterback. That was his first year as starting quarterback. Didn't make the playoffs. Finished third in the North. And then, boom. Of course, yes, they finished second in the division 1, 2, 3 times. Only 3 times since 2009.
If only after 2008, the Packers just cut him and he ended up in Chicago.
If only. I mean,
if only.
But I look at it though, and hey, they only won 1 Super Bowl since 2009, Mark. So I mean, a lot of playoff losses for this Packer team as they only went to the. Could have went to 2 more Super Bowls on top of that in 2014 and last year.
Hey, that would have been pretty great, right? You know what though? I would have taken a straight up trade. You know, I would have taken that Jay Cutler trade.
But Aaron Rodgers.
They got Aaron Rodgers instead after his 2008 season. That was it. 2008 to 2009. 2009 we had Jay. We traded Kyle Horton.
2008, Aaron Rodgers started all 16 games, didn't make the playoffs. Ever since then, have been in the playoffs. So that's why, to me, the only way they're not winning the division is if he gets injured or something happens to Aaron Rodgers to where he is not playing every game this season. I'm going to ask you, though, Mark.
Yeah.
Anything we missed on the Packers that you think we need to touch?
Well, I mean, I don't know. The Packers are just that safe team. Besides,
you need a division winner, just pick them.
Yeah, I mean, besides the New England Patriots, there's really not a division that is a safer lock than it is for the Green Bay Packers to win the NFC North.
Well, and this is where we pull the discussion to you guys. Let us know down below. What do you guys think of the Green Bay Packers coming into this season? And really, I'll say it. Can they win the Super Bowl this year? They were 1 game short last year. Do they do it this year, or do the losses that they experience this offseason make them take a step back? Let us know down below in the comment section. But I want to thank you guys for watching and listening to the Onside Kick this week. If you're on YouTube, thanks for watching. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, or Stitcher, thank you guys for giving us the download and the listen. If you guys want to support the podcast in another way than hitting the subscribe button, make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Thank you guys for everything that you do. And as always, have a good day, everybody.